Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Margaret and I am a life coach. Today the subject I want to discuss with you is the subject of spirituality versus psychic versus witchcraft. Okay, so the reason why I want to talk about this or discuss this with you is that sometimes people get things a bit mixed up and they don't know the difference between spirituality or psychic or psychic abilities or witchcraft. I think they all come under the subject of spirituality, because under spirituality we have psychic abilities, because psychic abilities is more of things in the spiritual realm, and because we are all spiritual beings, so we are all spiritual in a way. Okay, whether you see yourself as spiritual, that you are in touch with your spiritual self or not, we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, as they say. So I feel we are all spiritual. Okay, whether you practice spirituality constantly or not, I feel like we all believe in something. We all believe there is a power, because we all have hopes, and that hope is spiritual. That hope is not just physical. So one way or the other, there is spirituality within all of us. We all have a spirit, a body, and a soul. So in terms of psychic abilities, I would say that we all have a third eye, as we all know that scientists have proven that there's the pineal gland within your forehead, within our eyebrows here, or between our eyebrows. We all know that we have it. So one way or the other, we all have a third eye. Okay, and of course we have the first and second eye, and then we have the third eye, which is hidden within us. And there are those who have the fourth eye, and I feel the fourth eye is more practical. Okay, having the third eye is having the visions to make things manifest into the fourth with the fourth eye, because the fourth eye is when you make sure the things that you've dreamt of, the things that you hoped for, the things that you hope to achieve, you manifest it in the physical realm with your fourth eye. Okay, and that is how I feel, that's how I believe it is. And of course there's the fifth eye. The fifth eye is when you see things, you see things which are more like, people call it premonition or future seeing. But I feel when it comes to psychic abilities, the third eye is more like some people's third eye, when they say they are clairvoyant, they hear, okay, and they still put themselves under clairvoyant because they see through hearing. So if that makes sense. And some people see through feeling, which is clairsentient. So they say they are clairvoyant, so they are seeing through sensing. So I feel like they use the word clairvoyant just to use it under the psychic terms. And there's claircognizant, which is clear knowing. You don't have to, nobody has to tell you anything, you just know. So that is more of like spiritual intellect or spiritual intelligence. And of course we do have the clairvoyant, which is also the clairvoyant, which was the third eye. But I feel with the fifth eye, as I'm talking about, you see things differently. Things are more vivid, things are more you can see things and they manifest very quickly, because third eye, I feel we all have the third eye, but not everybody has the fifth eye in terms of psychic abilities. And having the fifth eye, could be that, you know, when you dream, you can manifest your dream within a short space of time. Okay. And those who have the fifth eye are those who can predict. They can predict that something is going to happen, and it does happen. Sometimes there's a bit of misinterpretation as to when and how things are going to happen. But I feel like having the fifth eye is, you know, when your eyes open, whether you are meditating or not meditating. Okay, because that can also come under dreams. Okay, or sometimes having your your third eye opening. Some people feel, you know, it's just a third eye, but you don't have the fifth eye, because the fifth eye is when you just know things, you just see things, you know, as you're walking, you're doing whatever. If you are highly, if you have developed your psychic abilities, you know, very high, very strong, you know, your fifth eye is always open. And when your fifth eye is open, that is when you are able to see people's aura. But people still see it as a third eye thing. No, third eye, we all have a third eye, but not everybody has a fifth eye. Because what I have experienced is when you have your fifth eye open, it's because the fifth eye is the angelic realm. Okay, it's when you can see angels, when you can actually communicate, when you can actually see things, tell it as it is. You can predict things. For me, that is the personal experience I have had. And so I thought I would share this subject with you. And definitely, the third eye is not just it, but third eye is definitely practical and physical within us. Some people say the third eye is within us and we can actually touch it and we can feel it and everything. But the fifth eye is when, you know, your senses are really heightened. You can sense things easily. And when your fifth eye is open, believe me, you don't have to be meditating, because if you have developed your psychic abilities to a much higher level, your fifth eye is always awakened and you can see things. And sometimes you could be just walking and all of a sudden you can see a video playing right in front of you, and you know that it's not happening now, but you don't sometimes you don't even know when it's going to happen, but it will happen, and it will happen just like that. I personally, I mean, sometimes, you know, if you don't continue to develop your, you know, or practice your clairvoyance or your psychic abilities, I feel if you don't, you will come back down to your third eye. But the more you practice, the more you can keep your fifth eye open. I don't feel like I sometimes feel people get it confused when the difference between the fifth eye and the third eye and the fourth eye. But the fifth eye is certainly when something happens, and most of the time it's associated with dreams, and most of the time it's associated with like deja vu kind of thing. I, for one, I have experienced that kind of fifth eye, you know, opening. And at that time, I would say when my fifth eye was open or was active, you know, I would just be walking and all of a sudden I would just see that there's a video. Like, the best thing I can say is like it's a video. It's like I'm watching something happening, whether I'm walking, whether I'm sitting, whether I'm standing. Sometimes I'll be in a queue and then all of a sudden something happens. And whatever happens, I can see it's like a video playing. You know, that's how I can say it. And sometimes it will happen exactly the same. And sometimes I will have a dream that this is what is going to happen. Sometimes the dream interpretation is not exactly the same as when I'm seeing the visions straight away. Because sometimes I will have a dream about something, but I wake up and I can decipher what the dream is talking about, or what the dream is telling me about. And that is also linked to the fifth eye. Okay, so third eye comes in different forms. We all have third eye, but fifth eye, you have to continue to practice and practice. And I feel like those who have mediumship abilities, most of them have the fifth eye, but they all call it third eye. But I feel we need to start embracing the fifth eye. We have to all understand that there's a fifth eye, and that fifth eye is more powerful, because when your fifth eye is open and you go into visualization, what you see, like you see me now, whatever you are seeing is like watching a 4K TV, but like in a, I don't know, like a 1000K version. Is like you cannot, I can't express to you how the vision is so clear, because even though your eyes is closed, what you are seeing is so real. It's like whatever we see right now in physical form is like it's even blurred. I don't know how to explain it to you, because I went to a meditation group and to develop my psychic abilities further. And what I realized, I mean, the first time I went, believe me, I did fall asleep. I have to be honest with you, because it was so relaxing. But the second time and the third time, I start to pick things up, because the thing is, when your third eye is already open and you are working on your fifth eye, because I knew that I want to work towards my fifth eye because my third eye is already open. And so yes, I want you to know that there's definitely a difference between the fifth eye and the third eye, but people normally just call it third eye, which I think it's not fair to the talents you are having and the abilities that we are acquiring, because we also know that we live in the third dimension, so we are used to the third eye situation. But we also have to know that there's also the fifth dimension, and the fifth eye is linked to the fifth dimension. Okay, so when it comes to that type of psychic abilities, having the fifth eye means that there are certain things that you will know way in advance, that you will know that it is weird. But for me, I personally feel that the experiences I have had has taught me a lot. When I was opening, I mean, at that time I didn't even think of opening a third eye, or talking about psychic abilities or whatever it is, because that comes under spirituality. And moving on to spirituality, or bringing the spirituality subject, is at that time I felt like I'm a Christian, or I believe in God, I believe in Jesus Christ. And at that time, I was just praying. I was just praying and focusing on what I wanted to pray. And at that time, I was focusing on praying to help other people. It wasn't even a prayer for myself. So, whilst I was doing more and more praying, or interceding for other people, that is how my psychic gift developed. But at that time, I never knew that it's called psychic gift. I just thought I'm seeing things. So, and the things I would see, most of the time within 48 hours would happen. But I also have to let you know that when your fifth eye is open, you see things differently, you think differently, you become so spiritually active. Like, your activity for spirituality is high. It's like, I feel like sometimes you don't even have a life, when your fifth eye is open. So if you decide to open your fifth eye. Remember not to get stuck in, the fifth dimension. So we move on to witchcraft. Witchcraft, I feel here that sometimes people see witchcraft as evil. Um, but what is the term witch or witchcraft? I believe the term witch or witchcraft is someone who is wise, someone who knows things that most people don't, because when we understand or we listen to the word witch, it was always associated with women who are older. Nobody associated that with men. Okay, and so knowing that it's a woman, it was always women who were accused of witchcraft. It was only a few men who were accused of being a wizard. And people call it, there's a white witch, there's a gray witch, there's a black witch, whatever. I feel, we all have some type of, because we all have the third eye, it depends on what you are developing. Okay, and I feel when people talk about witchcraft, they feel they are referring to doing something practical, putting herbs and things like that together. They feel that is witchcraft. Okay, and for me, that's not even witchcraft. Okay, but when everybody can be a witch, anyone, you could be, I could be, but it's when you are crafting it. That is when you use witchcraft, because there's witch and there's witchcraft, because you craft your gift. Okay, and sometimes you have to do things, so it could be that if I'm reading tarot, it could be that it's witchcraft. And we also have to understand, according to some spiritual religion, if you are doing anything which is not in the name of one particular god, it means that you are a witch. Okay, but we also have to understand that there are those who wrote these subjects were also politicians who wanted to rule certain people. So you have to understand, when they use the word witch, they want to demonize people and they want to condemn people, and that is why they use that, because they don't want other people to have the knowledge. Okay, so that knowledge that goes to the fifth eye, because this time, when some people know how to use herbs to heal people, okay, then they call them witchcraft, or they believe that someone has not gone anywhere. They haven't gone anywhere, but they seem to have knowledge about something that is going on. Maybe the person has got the fifth eye, their fifth eye is activated, and so they are seeing things and understanding things. But because they are older, they've been practicing their spirituality. Okay, they've been practicing their spirituality for much longer time, then they call them witches. Okay, so I personally can't say that being a witch is evil, because some people have decided it's evil, and some people have been brought up that the word witch itself is terrible. But for me, my understanding about witch is someone who has spiritual wisdom, someone who is a healer, someone who knows how to craft a gift. Okay, and because other people may be jealous, of course, it doesn't matter. Some people could say they are priests. Okay, they could say that they are religious bodies, but then they also use their so-called prayer or gift to do evil. We've seen that all the time. What is the difference between them and the people that they say are witches? So there's no difference there. It is how we as human beings or individuals have been manipulated to look at the word psychic, witchcraft, and spirituality. But for me, they're all the same. It depends on how we relate, it depends on how we are acting towards it. It depends on how we are, developing our skills. Some people may decide to develop their spiritual witchcraft or psychic abilities, which all comes under spirituality, in total different ways. Some people can do that through divination, like tarot reading. Some people can do that through runes. Some people, everyone does it differently. But just so I remind you that when you hear the word witchcraft, just don't have this preconceived idea that it is evil, okay? Because it is always associated with women. And don't forget, at that time, when history have proved that it was only women, or most of the time it was women who were witches, okay? And so at that time, that the men wanted to control the women because women had a lot of power in society, and most of the men didn't like that. And so they used the word witch or witchcraft to punish women. So if they're a witch, it means that they're evil and they cannot do anything good. If they are cooking and their cooking is good, they say she's a witch. Or yeah, and there wasn't a lot of men who were wizards, okay? And if it was a man, then he's a priest, okay? So I thought I would discuss this with you, and you can understand that, so that you can have some knowledge about the subject of spirituality, psychic abilities, and witchcraft, okay? But witchcraft itself, like I said, is whatever gift you've got. When you are practicing it, you are crafting it. So if you see your spiritual gift as witch, then you are practicing witchcraft. But most of the time, witchcraft, I believe, is connected to physical, maybe healing, herbs, something that you can physically deal with, handle with, because some people say, I'm doing potion, I'm doing spells, whatever, that means you are crafting it. Some people could be witches, but then they don't craft their witch. Some people can say, I'm a spiritual person, and you don't see them going to church. They could be a religious person, but they don't go to church all the time. But they are not practicing. Some people say, I'm not practicing Christian, I'm not practicing this. So it's like when you are practicing it, that is when you are crafting your witch. That is how I understand it. And so you can be a witch, okay? Is whether you are, is how you see yourself. Are you a psychic witch, or are you just a witch? Are you a psychic? Is your fifth eye developed, or is it only your third eye that is developed so far? And of course, yes, as in the tarot, the Hierophant has got the fourth eye, and the High Priestess has the fifth eye, because the High Priestess can see things and understand things and know things that don't physically exist. But the Hierophant, who is practical, have to make sure things are done in a certain way. So you could even say that the Hierophant could be a form of a witch, but his is practical. I just want to use that as an example so you can see the difference between the witch and the difference between witchcraft and witch and psychic abilities, because I feel they're the same. It's just how you develop yours, So if some people feel they need to dance to activate their psychic abilities. Some people call it witchcraft, okay? So witchcraft, spirituality, and psychic abilities, I feel they're all the same. Is just how we relate to the subject and how we see things, okay? So don't be scared when you hear when someone says they are a witch, and don't be scared when someone says that they are psychic, because we all have these abilities. And don't be alarmed when someone says I'm a spiritualist, because we all are. It depends on how you are developing yours or how you are not developing yours. So I thought I will share this with you, and I hope this has been insightful for you in terms of spirituality, witchcraft, and psychic abilities. And perhaps another time, if there is anything, please do comment. If there's any subject you want me to discuss with you, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will, talk about it soon. So I will leave this subject here, and perhaps another time we can just pick something else, and we can talk about it into much deeper way and a much deeper level. So yes, I wish you all the best, and I will see you soon.